Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
of the Pairpoint Park Stakeholders Advisory Committee is called to order. I am the chair. I'm Steve Jones.
Dawn Jelly.
Ann Hohenberger.
Bill Campbell.
Dave Short.
Maisie Sanderson.
And we have in the gallery here the following members of the public
Doug Eastman.
and staff of the town, also staff of the town.
yeah.
But, yes,
Greg Beeson, Exeter Parks and Rec.
yeah.
Dave Sharples, town planner.
And we hope to have Nico very shortly. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I'll move on in the agenda. We have two sets of minutes, one from April 10 and the other from April 17. Are there any additions, deletions, amendments?
I'll move we accept the minutes of April 10th and April 17th, 2025.
Okay, very good. Motion is made, seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. All abstaining? So moved. The next order on the agenda is to elect a clerk. Dave, we just mentioned that you're stepping off the committee, and I thanked you profusely for, this is the humorous part. I thank you profusely and obsequiously for your time and your efforts. But seriously, thank you very much.
Really,
Thanks. Thank you for your
Yep.
time and your efforts.
Found a different
So,
There, here.
yes, they're here, either place. Welcome, and let's just announce for TV who you are.
Amanda Kelly.
And
Jen Martell.
thank you very much. Very good. I counted right. So we are discussing the clerk because we need a new clerk. Dave is stepping off the committee, and I just thank Dave. Yeah, I just thank Dave for his time and his effort on behalf of the town. Thank you very much. And yes, we would be delighted to have you come back when things get moving, should you be so inclined.
All right.
So we'll shed a tear and now nominate a clerk. I mentioned this already. Dave's notes are exemplary. They are short. They are to the point. They mention everything in encapsulated form that happened in the meeting, and they mention every motion and every second, and that is the gold standard. That is all one needs to produce. So I will take nominations for clerk, and I will not accept a nomination of myself. So, are there any takers?
Ian, do you want to do that?
No, you're a taker.
Nobody over 80 should do that.
I'm not sure that I'm going to be here for every meeting in the summer. My summer is pretty difficult, and as we can see, I keep not coming
Okay.
back and forth, so.
Yes.
Can we use AI to make notes?
No.
Darn.
Yeah.
It's a good idea for a
But
second.
we
That's
have-
what I was thinking, too.
We have a video, and that allows a person to attend the meeting, actually participate in the meeting, and not take notes the way folks in the past have done, where you've had to, it's been impossible in other meetings to
Well, it's actually
listen.
pretty easy to go back over the video, and you can fast forward in 5-second
Yes.
increments and get through the dead spaces, take an hour meeting and, turn it into 25 or 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not too
That's your
bad.
technique, cool. Yeah. I have the same issue that Amanda does, and I have an idea to float. Is it possible that we could take turns if we don't have a taker tonight?
Absolutely. Yes. Could absolutely take turns. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds That's fine.
So for this meeting, we need a clerk. And,
I can take them for tonight, it's not a problem.
okay.
Sitting here with a laptop.
Thanks.
So do I hear, I will entertain a motion.
What time did you open the meeting at?
5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yeah. I will entertain a motion to nominate a clerk temporarily.
I move that Amanda be our temporary.
I'll second it.
And if I could amend that statement to say temporary.
And I said that.
Okay, good.
So are we going to need to nominate a clerk every week? I mean, every meeting?
Not every, well, it depends on how long someone can be
Okay.
our clerk.
Could you actually make the motion to make it a universal rotating position?
Oh.
Somebody will just be appointed. each
Yeah, I can
meeting?
just make a list based on clockwise
Yes,
of
we
where we're
could.
sitting right
You
now.
know,
Okay.
How about
That way
that?
you don't have to go through a
Yep.
vote every.
Does that work for
Yep.
everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there was an amendment to the motion. So the motion is, as I heard it, to nominate all of the committee, save the chair,
Right.
for the position of clerk on a rotating basis going forward.
Yep.
Perfect.
Any further discussion?
And I'll add Keith and Deb's names to the end of the list.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Or the top.
Why not?
All in favor?
Don't forget Maisie.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Don't forget who.
Maisie?
She's behind you if you can't see her.
Aye, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, hi, Maisie.
Maisie
Oh,
gets to be
we
last.
need to do a roll call vote, don't we? Okay. Maisie, how do you
Is
vote?
she an alternate though?
No, she's nominated. She's
I said aye.
nominated too. Yes. Aye, okay. Amanda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Amanda and, I don't know why Keith is missing this meeting, do you?
He's at a fashion show.
It's a fashion show.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Really? In Boston, right?
Boston, yeah. You will wow them.
So,
All right.
right. And
Turn my back to you.
where is it? There we go. Results.
I have no friend.
Let's go over the
You
results of the
guys already
survey.
approved them?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And Barry made the motion, and Ann seconded it. Survey results. So let's start by talking about ranked voting, which this survey asked people to do. There are at least 3 ways to interpret ranked voting results, at least 3 ways. One is just to look at each separate vote. What was the vote for first place? What was the vote for second place? What was the vote for third? There's a problem with that, and you'll notice it as we go through these results, that it gets harder to interpret the more options you get. So more than 3, as a general rule, it sort of gets harder. And when you get to 7, it's impossible. So that's not generally a way to interpret results. You can look at ranked choice voting. If you look at this, you'll notice that this is a ranked choice voting with several rounds. Ranked choice voting is how, for example, Maine does voting for statewide offices. Round 1 is you vote for one of several candidates. At the bottom of the list, whoever gets the least votes is knocked out, and you go to round 2, and you do the process over again where you say, who got the most votes. But you have to know from round 1 who voted for the candidate who was knocked out. And unless I went through every single line item in our Google survey, I wouldn't know which was the second vote for any given option.
So-
And that's very time intensive.
I have a question. When I first looked at this, I was bewildered. We have candidate A through F, and we only have 3 options. Could you explain that, please?
This is just an example of ranked choice voting.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
this is just- this
It's
is-
not
yeah,
our,
no,
it's
no,
not
this
the
is not.
content
This is
of
just an
our.
example.
Okay, thank you.
And there's a site there, you can look further if you want. So this is just to say why we're not doing ranked choice voting. Because it's,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
So then the other, it's also, for themes and elements, there's not a single winner, and ranked choice voting is good for single winners. You know, the winner of this election is Susan or Fred. This is not a case for some of our choices where there's a winner, there are relative winners. And in that case, ranked choice voting is not a technique that's good. So we're left with weighted scores as our option, where weighted scores involve deciding how many choices you have. So you have n number of choices. Let's take the case where there are 3 choices. And every first choice vote, when there are 3 choices, gets a weight of 3. So if you vote for candidate A, that your first choice counts as 3 votes. Your second choice counts as 2 votes, n minus 1. And your third choice counts as 1 vote. They're weighted. So you add all those up. That's very easy to do with the data that we got. And that is what I did.
Okay.
So let's take the raw data now on the question of which is your first choice for a design direction. The very clear favorite is the Shady Bosque by 2 to 1.
Can I ask how many overall people responded?
Yeah.
Yes, the N is 570.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yes. So 15 days, that's how long the survey was open. We used paper surveys, and we posted QR codes in coffee shops around town. Thank you for taking yours down at Enna's. That was very much appreciated.
yeah.
You did. You took it down on the day that we decided to take it down.
Email
So,
people.
and so there's on paper and online. So this is the assembled, collated set of results for the both. Now you'll notice that design direction number 1, Shady Bosque, that's preferred by the respondents. You'll notice that number 2 has fewer people. That's because 2 people out of 572 people stopped and said, I voted for what I wanted, I'm done. So they just didn't fill out. So yes, n equals 568, that's why. And even here, Shady Bosque edges out the serpentine path. But the real message is folks didn't go for the elevated deck. Third choice, that's the elevated deck. Now an aggregate score is using that weighted average I told you about, where every first choice vote gets 3, every second choice vote gets 2, and every third choice vote gets 1. You can see that it flattens out, but still Shady Bosque is the preferred by the respondents. Now, on to themes. We had 4, so I'm not going to go through the individual 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's a little confusing if you go, what's my first choice, what's my second choice, what's my third choice. I'm just going to go straight to the aggregate compiled vote. And in that, you can see that folks preferred local flora and fauna, and then history of the river, edging out environmental protection, and last, history of the structures, which I guess I don't find too surprising. You can interpret this as you wish, but I think that people have pretty much forgotten about what was there, and they're for the most part, just as happy to. There are some people who are interested, but the majority are more interested in the environment. And you can, free to interpret the rest of this as you will. I don't mean to impose my interpretation on you. Now for elements, this is where things get wild if we look at individual ranking 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just impossible to comprehend without spending an hour. And this is interesting. I don't know if, let me make this bigger. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Note that seating in general, whether separated out into seating for resting and relaxing or seating and tables for eating, seating in general is the big winner. Mm-hmm. People want to come to this park to sit down.
You could even roll the swings into
Yes, you
seating.
could, you could. But swing's got enough votes.
Yes.
Look, we're going to break this out. Interestingly, evening lighting. Yes. Whatever that means. Now, does that mean we put a sodium light on the street lamp or pole across the street? I don't know. I don't know what evening lighting means.
Footlights.
Or footlights? I have no idea.
Solar lights.
There's somebody at the door.
Unlock, I think.
So I have no idea what evening lighting actually means, but folks were very interested in evening lighting. Public art, we'll get into the comments, the individual written comments in a moment. Public art, just remember that. And then educational signage. And other play structure, play also really figured in the comments in a profound way. Top comments by design. They like the open design, not closed off, more space, more options for visitors. They like the shady bosque and well, wait a minute.
This is an elevated deck. Yeah.
Yeah, this is by concept, elevated deck. What they like about the elevated deck is that it's not closed off, and there's more space, it's more options for visitors. It fits in downtown, they say. They like the deck. It's different from other parks. Nice place to bring food, good for a band. What they dislike, they said, don't throw tomatoes at me, but they said, too much upkeep. I don't know what the upkeep is, but they said, too much upkeep. Dislike the design.
That's my favorite comment.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I love this one was,
Needs coffee.
okay, but not without coffee.
Yeah.
This person
I
was-
mean,
Yeah.
that's like everything.
Yes, exactly.
It's better with
And
coffee.
Better with coffee, absolutely. A bit generic, don't like the pergola, too modern. Those are some of the representative comments. And they also said they didn't like the loss of the natural element. So that was the elevated deck, the shady bosque. I'm rushing through this for the sake of time. Shady bosque, and you can review this at your leisure.
I do have a question. You
Yes.
said top comments, and there were more than you're showing here. How did you determine which were the top?
So, first of all, Dev determined on
Oh,
these.
he's not here. Yeah.
But he filtered through the 568 or whatever comments and came up with these. What I will do after this meeting, I will publish an addendum with all of the comments
Okay.
for everyone to read. But they fall generally into these categories.
Okay, I'm a fan of the long tail,
Yes, there's a long tail.
and so there are some gems usually at the end of the long tail.
Yes, there are. Shady Bosque, they like the trees and the shade. A lot of comments about shade. Trees cushion noise, the sense of comfort, sheltered in nature. And I like this one. Will be nice in the summer months. They like the movable seating, they like the spiral design, they like the openness, they like the maintenance. So it's got a packed surface for a large portion of it. The rest could be gardens. So whether that's true or not, I leave it up to Parks and Rec to determine, but the perception was that it was low maintenance. And they disliked the entrance, so it's too short, too small, closed off. That was one of the comments. Serpentine path, liked the mix of shade and walkway, again, natural setting. They like the simple design, like the path to the overlook, lots of small seating areas. They like the resting points. They dislike that it looked out of place. That's an interesting comment. That it was boring. That's an interesting comment. That it was too busy. Again, that's an interesting comment. One of the tail comments that is not up here is that people are just going to walk straight down, not down this path.
Unless there are plants in their way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Or
people will
rounds.
walk through the plants.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Desire
Yes,
paths, baby.
Yeah. So, another comment is it takes up too much space, the path does. And not enough open space. It's interesting, these other comments, though this was one particular person who doesn't like rocking chairs. I think this is a one-off comment, and yes, I respect this person for saying something, but it's not a must that we have a rocking chair as an element. One person said, if you do this option, make these stops along the way interactive with various changeable signs, make it fun. Okay, so here are the themes. They're coded and by count, so a lot, 200 plus by aesthetics, natural, 114, down to safety, 7.
These, if I may ask, the subsequent, that and the next couple are independent from this. One of the 3 design choices. Is
Yes,
that right? Okay,
they are.
Thank you.
So they answer, this first one answers the question, why did you choose number 1, number 2, number 3?
Oh,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
so they do relate to
They
the,
relate.
but we don't know from the analysis.
You guys are talking about 2 different things.
What are we talking
Okay.
about?
So,
So this is question 2 on the survey. Question 1 is, which is your preferred design? Give us a rank,
He's not
1, 2,
talking
or 3.
about those.
Yeah,
He's talking about this.
themes,
yeah.
and so we have the themes.
So
And
we're using
they are-
themes
this is
twice.
their-
They're using themes twice. A theme in this case is not a theme in the park, but it's a theme of the comments.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the
yeah.
comments are,
Broken down by code. You could use, these are coded.
I'm trying to remember
They're
the survey.
lumped.
The comments are, so, they already said their bit about which design they preferred.
They gave us a
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3.
Okay, and then here, it's the themes and so on.
Well, no, it's the coded response, this lumped comments.
Can I try
Yes,
to
yeah.
interpret between you two? Is
Yeah,
that okay?
that would be helpful.
Mary wants to know if these relate to option 1, 2, or 3, or if these are total for all option 1, 2,
Total
or 3.
for all of them.
Okay.
Total for all of them.
Good?
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes. As usual,
It's okay.
it's so easy to talk past each other, and I regret.
Well, we
we're
all
human.
live on
okay.
Yeah, on planet Earth, we all do.
separate square footage.
Common lumped concepts from this, and this is Deb's part. Many respondents expressed divergent opinions about what aesthetic qualities they prefer, with many desiring more minimalist natural design, while others preferred more unique and modern design. But the voting was pretty clear. There was a contrast between people wanting the space used communally for gathering versus accommodating smaller numbers of people for quiet spaces. Again, the ranked choice voting, or the voting at the top, saying we prefer the Shady Bosque, was pretty definitive. They expressed a want to maximize or make most efficient use of the space for seating, viewing, gathering, contrasted with others' preference for open space. Many people expressed a desire for shading. So, once again, many comments about shade and natural habitat. The swing got several mentions. I'm just going to stop there, and you can read on. Here's a quote from the elevated deck. I'm going to run past these. You can read them. Here's a quote about the Shady Bosque. And here's a quote about Shady Bosque again, and about the Serpentine Path. So these are choice quotes. Overall, I liked option 3 because my second option was option 2. Option 1 was a great design. I like this quote the most because this turns out later to be the most important quote that I got from the second interpretive question, the second qualitative question. So Dev took the first question, which is, why did you vote for this one over that one? I got the second question, which is, do you have anything else to tell us? And overwhelmingly, the majority response was, thank you.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for thinking about this. Thank you for involving us. A
And
lot of
loved
appreciation
your
out
pictures.
there. And that
You
is
saw that,
what
too,
I
yeah.
took away.
Mr. Chair, could I ask, could you just, for folks, because there are people at home that watch this on TV, if you haven't already, let them know that this whole packet is on the town website, so if they want to look at it at their leisure?
Yeah. This whole packet's, I sent this version of the survey results to Pam this afternoon, Pam McElroy, who will post them. And I will post an addendum as well with all the details.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for keeping me on track. I love all the ideas. I ranked the options that allowed for more usable gathering space highest over the Serpentine one, which I ranked lowest. So moving on to the themes, we saw the voting on themes, which was regarding local flora and fauna. That was their top choice. And elements, what do you want in this park? This is hard to read, so I'm going to increase this, and now can you read it? So I tried to break this down, but there is some overlap, but out of the 500 plus comments that people wrote at the end, there's a lot of overlap. But gratitude is number 1. Nature design, shade is number 2. Seating, yes, that plus they like the swings. That's number 3. Not a playground figured very strongly. A lot of people said we have playgrounds elsewhere in town. We have enough playgrounds. Thank you very much. Now, there were others who said, yes, a playground, but not a playground.
Can I ask you a question? So this says number of responses 10. So that's 10 out of, you just said a lot of people, but to me it's 10 out of almost 600.
Well,
Doesn't seem like a lot.
yes, 10 out of 600 is a lot of people.
Okay.
That's
to make,
not-
who,
I just
to
wanted to
make
clarify,
a
that's
comment,
what that
to make
means.
a comment when any comment.
So this is just general
This
comments.
is general. This is
okay.
general comments. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, this is general comments. Keep it simple was another theme. You are correct, though, to interpret these as you did.
Okay.
Riverfront access, in defense of one of their designs or another, they're restating what they stated above. Safety, that drops down. Low maintenance drops down. Public art. There was a faction who said, "Oh, I love public art," and there's another faction down here, they don't like public art. No one can agree on what good public art is, or people love public art. That's what their comments were. There was some concern about garbage and recycling bins and clutter, and what food brought into the site might bring in terms of clutter or garbage. Last comment, fill in the hole. I just want you to remember this one. Yes.
I wonder who wrote that.
Yeah, it was a man's handwriting, and there was nothing else on that form. I'll leave it to you to surmise who might have written that.
I have a question that's similar to Jen's, which is, let's see if I can frame it. I might need your help on this. Given this information, I'm trying to assess its value, its usefulness. Does this represent comments from 500 plus people?
Yes.
Okay, and did most of the 500 make a comment?
Yes. There were some who made no comment.
Okay, but a minor or?
Well,
In that question.
Enough.
Yeah, so if you add all these up, these are individual comments.
Okay.
And some of them were one within the other. So they said, I hate public art, but I love seating, for example. So I split those up into two so I could code them.
And if you've got multiple.
So at least 400, maybe 450 people, I would guess, made comments.
So the various valuations from 0 to 20 represent the number of people who mentioned these items?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out.
This is the optional question. Do you have anything else to add?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My themes that I would take away, let's start at the bottom. Make it dog friendly. So a very few number of people, but they made the comment.
Very few meaning?
3, 4?
Okay.
I know.
Largely the same comments as the design options, but with more details. They stressed natural elements, simplicity, seating, quiet, and a river view.
Amazing.
Large number of respondents do not want a playground. Safety. This was, you saw it was down at the level of 5 comments, but there were 5 comments or so about safety and about garbage. Also, universal accessibility. There were only 4 people who comment on universal accessibility, but among those who commented on them, they said that it was important to critical.
And this is in the optional
This is the
question.
optional question.
They've already answered the rest of the survey, and now there's an optional. Do you have anything else to
Do you have
add?
anything else to add?
Yeah.
Exactly. And there are other slides that you can read for general comments, avoid too much clutter, I think simple is best, yada, yada, yada. I think I've made those points already, but there are example comments below. So, with that was a weekend spent.
Thank you for crunching it.
Yeah, we
Nice
crushed
job,
it.
Steve.
Yeah.
Were y'all,
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I was not.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah,
Big
It was
one.
all Deb and
yeah, well,
Steve.
yeah, so 80%.
The two of you,
Yeah.
you deserve a pizza or a beer or
Both.
both.
Can't have two beers.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. But more importantly, I hope you find it useful. In our next discussion, which is regarding, first of all, a preferred design. So we're going to go in front of the select board. Nico and I have had offline communications. Nico, we had to move meetings in June because one select board member couldn't make it in May. So essentially, we're presenting to you at the end of June now.
June 30.
June 30. So we're barely in June, but we are in June. And thank you for that. The other thing is that our normally scheduled meeting for June, because we have things to follow up on, would be June 19th, but we can't do June 19th because that's Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do June 26th with everyone's approval. That's the next Thursday, also at 5 p.m. We'll have 1 hour to discuss
And
follow-up
when
issues.
is the select board?
June 30th.
June 30th.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Now, I mentioned this timing because I talked with Dave, and Dave said that, we could at least get a ballpark figure, if I'm going to put words in your mouth, and you correct me if I'm wrong.
I can try.
Yeah, you could try a ballpark figure for,
It's going to be very rough order of magnitude because, you can't do any, unit counts or quantities or
No.
any takeoffs like that, so
No.
it's going to be ballpark.
yeah, ballpark figure. So we will get, for the select board, for June 30th, if, come hell or high water, the creek don't rise, a vote by this committee by the end of today on which is a preferred design, what does the committee recommend, and if we have time during this meeting, a vote of confirmation on the survey results, themes for the park, and elements. So, to start that off, that's a long wind-up. Would anyone like to open up the discussion of which design option, design concept, they think should be?
Can we take a temperature check? and
We
just
can
let
do, yes,
everybody-
absolutely, yeah.
I'll make a motion
Yeah,
that design option 2, the Shady Bosque, is the one this group proceeds with.
okay, I just want to make sure we
And then
hear
we can
everyone
discuss.
very quickly. Yes, take a very quick temperature check, and we've raised hands very quickly.
Yeah.
And is everyone in agreement with that?
Aye.
Yep.
And
I
me-
just one question. Is the path that goes around is going to be some sort of hard gravel type of thing? I mean, some composition type path?
That's as
As a-
I envisioned it, but
Yeah, I believe that was
Rather
a
than
stabilized stone dust.
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Does that go all the way underneath the trees then?
yes.
And, okay. And-
Think of a bocce court in Paris, where the men are out playing bocce.
Okay.
Um,
Can we have a
It's
field
a
trip?
hard-packed sandy surface,
Yeah.
and there's nothing growing there, and then there's a tree. That's a park in Paris. So that would be the same concept. Maisie, you're on,
Is it the purple? Yeah.
there you are.
Hi, Maisie.
Maisie.
Hi.
And I just want to make sure you're included. You're a voting member for the balance of this meeting. Did you have any opinion on the Shady Bosque?
I was in agreement.
Okay. So, Dave, you made a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Boy, I heard like 4 seconds there.
Choose
I
one.
think you get to choose.
Miss-
remember?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Is Maisie voting?
Yes. So, Maisie, we're going to have to do a roll call vote.
Thank you.
So, is there any discussion? Not hearing none.
I have a question, because
Okay.
just
Yeah.
to, your charge was to, number 4, was present multiple design concepts and cost options to the select board.
Yes. This is regarding a preferred option.
Okay,
Yes,
so you're gonna
yeah.
present all three?
We're gonna present all three, but this is the
With cost,
first.
so,
Yeah.
just so I'm clear, I'm gonna try to get cost options for all three.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't make that
Okay, no,
clear, and I
Got it.
was jumping ahead.
Yep.
But yes, you're correct. So the preferred option is number 2. Maisie, if there's no further discussion, I'll take a roll call vote. Maisie, how do you vote?
Do I say aye? Or yes?
Amanda, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Mary, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dave, how do you vote?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Dawn? Steve? Aye.
Beautiful.
The ayes have it. Congratulations. And thank you, Jen,
Oh,
immensely
Yes,
for
thank you so much.
Yes.
presenting
Yeah, you're welcome.
3
Great idea.
very beautiful options,
Thank
all
you.
3.
Well, you guys came up with the ideas, I just drew them, so.
Yeah,
well,
well,
this one came from you.
Yeah, that was your giving yourself the challenge,
True at
remember?
first.
Yeah, yeah.
Really good.
Good job, everybody.
So it sounded like you were getting close to adjourning. I just wanted to
No.
make sure, okay.
yeah.
I wanted to get a little better handle on what we're presenting to the select board.
Yes, okay. So next step would be to go back to, I'm going to minimize you, Maisie, and I'm going to come back. Sorry, I hope not to give anyone an epileptic attack. To themes. So, along with presenting one preferred option out of 3 options, it would be nice to present major themes. Yes, Mary?
You know me, I'm thinking.
Mhm.
So there's a big canyon between this somewhat generalized set of collection of ideas and doing a takeoff. So in between, somehow, so that Dave can do a takeoff that is not full of 1,000 elements, or however many there are, I would like to, if it were my project, I would do what's called architectural takeoffs. You know, what are the implications for the design of this building? And I'd probably start eliminating some things that are policy oriented or product maintenance, although that's a feature. And give Dave how many swings? You know, how much square footage of aggregate and dust?
So we're talking-
So I'm trying to figure out how we can give Dave something that he can get his arms around.
Dave
So
has
we-
a-
Yeah.
I was, I mean, this is a ROM budget, rough order of magnitude, that's probably, the only value of it is probably to compare the options more than it is to determine. I wasn't gonna get into quantities.
Details, okay.
No, I wasn't. I mean, I'll get into the site work, I can get pretty good on that, because I understand, the deck, there's really no site work, except, you want footings, that's part of the building, so you're not doing any grading or dropping or walls or anything like that.
You
That
gotta
I-
fill the hole.
Hmm?
You gotta fill the hole.
Well, yeah, but
I'll fill the hole in all 3
I get that,
spaces.
but yeah, I was thinking more of walls and, hardscape that cost some money. I could probably get a good idea on that from the concepts, but the other stuff, I'm just gonna kind of, have to.
And I
Rough
do,
it.
the second part to that. The stuff that doesn't show, the site prep, the drainage, the soil analysis, the bearing capacity, how much rainfall, what are we gonna do with runoff? That doesn't have to be a huge engineering study, but it has to be done by somebody who can really do that, And I know we're not obligated to meet state, federal, county
Well,
rules.
we're obligated to meet state,
With-
federal, and county if there are any that apply.
Yeah, but with respect to how some jurisdictions do it, they need to be good to the river, and we're exempt. But there's, I think, a force on this committee that wants to do more than just, we're exempt, so let's do nothing. And so that's a cost. And as I was trying to articulate, and I'm sorry if it's not clear enough, an engineering study could be like super duper detailed and cost thousands of dollars. But there's a way to do a little bit better than a back of the envelope study. And, you know, I'd like that to be considered in the cost if you can do that.
That's obviously I'm gonna think of things like that. I'm gonna probably scale it out, and you know the path is X amount of feet long and by square footage, and get some. I have current unit pricing on concrete sidewalk and so forth. So it's not gonna be just a back of the napkin type.
No, I knew
And
that.
then drainage. It's we're talking. I don't know how much impervious surface area. I mean, the whole lot's 2,400 square feet.
Well, there's gonna be,
So
yeah.
so now you're talking, that's not a big area. So you probably can do it with some, crushed stone tree filters. I mean, there's probably some pretty minimal options you need to do, but I'll include that. I just did a
Yeah.
budget and I included drainage. It's not gonna be a closed drainage system, I don't think.
No.
Or underground, proprietary stormwater chambers. I mean,
Right.
I don't see that at this site.
Okay, well,
But that's what I would envision. I would envision some infiltration to get it, under the ground and to minimize the, this post-development rates don't exceed pre-development rates.
So I think what this gets down to, really, if I can take...
Yeah, and I do have something to add to that.
Exactly. If I can
Yeah,
step in
go for
here,
it.
is that the committee members would like reassurance that we'll be consulted and we will be offered the opportunity to give an opinion. Going
Yeah,
forward.
on what? Like on every, you're running this. I was just telling you what my procedure is to get a budget. I wasn't, those decisions and those details are in the future.
Exactly.
Way down the line.
So.
All we're trying to do is compare the three, so tonight, we're answering the question, what are we presenting on June 30th? On June 30th, we're presenting 3 options with 3 order of magnitude budgets and 1 preferred design vote and the theme votes. That's it. We're not going any further than that on June 30th. Nobody's allocating money, nobody's hiring anybody, no RFQs are going out, nothing. It's just super vague, general numbers. That's it. You're still talking a year down the line, and we've got 10 minutes. Do we want to vote on the themes, or are we gonna just not finish tonight?
I want to vote on the themes, but when I interviewed for the committee and when I applied, I said, the thing I bring to it is a strong sense of stewardship for the natural environment.
We all agree with that, it's just
And
not tonight.
I have since visited with the people from Seven Rivers and so on and so forth, and I just don't see that concept of being good stewards. It didn't show up in the survey.
Because we're not
much.
there yet.
Okay,
I promise,
it showed up.
I 100% agree with you.
Okay.
100%.
I'm not gonna fall
And
on
so
the-
does she, and so does
Okay.
he. We all
Find
agree
out,
with you.
Jen
We're
does.
just not there yet.
Okay.
That's it. We're just trying to say,
Well, let's
slow your
bear in
roll,
mind.
horse first. That's
Right.
it. I
It's-
promise,
it's like
with love.
First do no harm.
But we're not there, okay? With love.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so anytime it comes up and I feel like it's missing, please bear with me, because
Okay.
I
And
think it's important.
That's essentially what I was saying to Dave. So,
Yep,
yeah,
we'll get there.
We'll
We
we'll
will.
get there and we'll be involved and,
I promise.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I care too.
Thanks.
So,
All 4 of them
We all
care.
care.
So
Everyone
about-
here cares.
about
I think
Greatly.
so, yeah.
About themes, do we
Put you in the
agree,
minutes, too.
or does someone have a thought on how they want to present, they want the 3 of us, and I'm going to involve Jen, Amanda, and me, as the 3 people involved in this presentation to the board. Is there a preference for what we might say regarding themes?
I have a prompt.
Yes.
It seems to me, and I wonder what the committee thinks, that the first 3, flora, fauna, history of the river, environmental protection, can be easily interweaved into one story.
Yes.
Those are the 3 that we I would present, even
Can you
individually.
speak a little closer into the microphone?
I think we can present those three as they are almost.
Yeah.
And just, those are the three things we're looking for.
Yeah.
The fourth one actually goes in with the second one.
History of the
Because
river.
frankly.
Well, actually, it was a different concept.
Yeah, there wasn't many structures on that property ever, except at the very end, and they burned down. So
Yes,
it's
yeah.
still, we didn't lose any.
100 years, but there were industrial era structures.
Yeah.
Does someone, I'll entertain a motion on what it is we might say to the select board.
I would move that we suggest that the top three themes will be interwoven into a story that
Will you-
meanders through the park. Whether there's something at the top about stormwater and something in the middle about the flora and something at the bottom about the river, something like that.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I second
Sign?
that.
Sign, yeah,
It means-
whatever
it
we're
means-
doing.
It means
Something.
we have a lot of work yet to do.
Oh, yeah.
And this is just a
Preliminary.
direction, as Jen said. The design is a concept.
That's true. I shouldn't have said that. You're right.
Yet to be nailed down. It is not a
You're right.
finished construction document. It is a concept. Similarly, a concept might be, yes, folks who responded to the survey, what you said.
I retract it and say just interweave the top three themes,
Yeah.
TBD on how.
Yeah.
Is that still the motion?
Yeah, now it is.
Bill, do you still
Yeah,
second
I
it?
second it.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to, the select board members are really busy, and I know they're diligent from having been to several meetings, but I would like to recommend that they look at this material.
I'm 100% confident they will all read
Yeah,
it very
yeah,
carefully.
Yeah.
So just when you, before June 30th, just make sure Pam has this, well, she has it, but it can be included in the packet.
Yes.
Along with any memo or anything else you want us to read.
We will be ready.
As will we.
Very good.
Bill, second.
The gauntlet is thrown in both directions. Do I hear any other further discussion?
I would just say, I think to clarify how the select board might interpret like our presentation of themes or how we might want to present them, I think it's really helpful, if we do end up putting out an RFP for a design consultant, to include in that RFP, our town feels very strongly that these three themes are incorporated into the design, and we let the design consultant sort of figure out how to do that. So that's where I think having a theme is important. It just sort of explains our values as a town and what we want to show.
Okay. Any other discussion?
We need a vote?
We need a vote.
Do we need Maisie?
Maisie, I'm going to bring you back on.
She's still,
I'm going to have to maximize you, and now,
doesn't know.
there you are. Maisie, there was a motion. I'm going to ask Amanda to repeat it.
Okay, I move that we recommend the top three themes be interwoven as our theme for the park.
Aye.
Maisie votes aye. Amanda?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Mary? That's Jen.
Aye.
Dave?
right?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Ann?
Aye.
Dawn? Steve? Aye.
Very friendly group.
The ayes have it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yay.
That's a huge amount of work. I just want to take 30 seconds to recognize everyone on this committee, including the folks who are not here, Keith and Dev, who have worked over the last year to get us to this point.
And the folks who have resigned.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Judy, Suzanne.
We regret their departures.
Yeah.
It may be frustrating to some, designing by committee. However, I think it is also rewarding, and that we not only can include our own thoughts, but we were given the opportunity and the direction from the town to get the town's thoughts. And in both cases, in both surveys, we got outstanding responses. And that is a point I'm going to make, Mr. Chairman of the Select Board, that the town is enthusiastic. That is my interpretation. They are enthusiastic about these concepts and the idea of making this place a park. And I'm proud to present that at the appropriate moment, along with Jen and Amanda. With that, Keith brought up last time the idea of filling the hole and/or moving the fence. Keith is not here. We are just about out of time. And in deference to him and in deference to making a full discussion where we can say, is this within our charge? And if not, are we making a recommendation sort of outside of our charge as a committee? I say that we should defer this discussion until next meeting.
And I would like to add a bit, because along with the interest, public interest, and this amazing collection of various ideas, people are curious about our progress. And I would invite the committee members to think of some statement, some 2-sentence maximum, that we could put on a sign pretty soon that gives the public some sense of where we are and when it might happen. Because that curiosity is like an opening to greater and more public support and maintaining the support we have to date. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know if you fielded comments. What are you guys doing? From various members of the public. So something. And if people could come with a sentence or two just to throw in the pot as consideration for that message.
Okay.
Please.
We can put that on the agenda for next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, and not hearing any other business, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
That's a record.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.